What is up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of FitBizU. I'm your host, Jill Coleman, and today is a big day because now we are enrolling for our brand new free business intensive. It's an 8-day business intensive called Post to Profits. It is a social media intensive for health, fitness, wellness professionals who want to use social media to monetize. So if you want more DM conversations, if you want to have more coaching inquiries, if you want to increase the amount of people you are signing off of social media, this is specifically for you, especially for those in the first couple of years of building their online coaching business. If you are here listening to the show, you may be a perfect candidate. The link to join us is in the show notes, and we get started together on February 5th. It is 8 days. It's an 8-day business intensive. And y'all, one of the things, I'm just going to say this, one of the things my mentor James says is he says, how are you going to build a massively successful business if you don't have the discipline to sit down and watch a tutorial on how to do it? So that is my a little bit tough love call to action to remind you that if you sign up for something like this, and the reason why we're making it 8 days, this is not like a single workshop. It's not like a freebie. You can't see me right now. I'm like using air quotes. It's not like a little freebie where you get like a download. Sure, we love those things sometimes. But what this is a full-on business education. So it is free, but if you join, I want you to make this a priority because y'all are going to learn so much. And actually, what I want to talk about today is relevant to what you guys are going to be learning in Post to Profit. So go to the link in the show notes. Go ahead and add yourself. It's 100% free. We get started on February 5th. But today, I was thinking about this because, of course, I'm promoting this for the next week and a half using social media and stuff like that. And I was thinking about writing a lot of posts and writing a lot of emails to my list. And I was thinking about this. Everyone is always saying like the space is changing and like things are changing so fast online. And I was thinking about this, and on one hand, they really are. And we're going to talk about the ways in which they are changing. We've done episodes on this before, but I do want to share this. But then at the same time, I was thinking about it and I was like, business is business is business. And, this is why when I work with students in FBA, yes, I have obviously the majority of people who come into FBA are in the health, fitness, wellness movement sort of space. But I do get probably like 10 to 15% of my students in FBA are not in wellness. I've had dog trainers, horse enthusiasts. I've had mindset coaches, life coaches, other business coaches. And they always ask the question, like, does this apply to me too? Could I use this as well? And the chances, and the reason we say yes is because it can, because business at the end of the day is something that when you learn this skill, you can apply it to any industry. You can apply it to any industry if you're in the service industry, in the product industry. I would say that it is a little bit different for like maybe e-commerce and brick and mortar. I am definitely not an expert when it comes to brick and mortar. I'm not an expert when it comes to e-commerce, but for me, it's all about digital products and services. So courses, one-on-one coaching, group offers, things like that. So while the space is changing, we'll talk about how, there's a lot of things that are not, because the business basics and business foundations don't change. Things like marketing, messaging, copywriting, sales, like these all have principles that are timeless. And so today I wanted to kind of break down what I'm calling the nuts and bolts of business and the bells and whistles of business. So I think about the nuts and bolts as being the foundation. And one of the things about FBA specifically is, and that's my intro to online coaching program. In FBA, we focus on mostly nuts and bolts. Everything that I teach in FBA is still what I do at JillFit. So what we do at JillFit, the way we launch at JillFit, the way we create offers at JillFit, the way we create courses and programs and things like that at JillFit, all of that is in FBA because there's not a whole bunch of different ways to do that. Sales principles are timeless. Marketing principles are timeless, right? Messaging is a skill. So all of these things, that's why there's maybe like, I would say 90% of the curriculum in FBA is nuts and bolts. It's the things that you can use as a beginner. It's the things you can use as an intermediate level business owner. It's the things you can use still as an advanced business owner, which of course we do. So when I teach something like the 10-day promo blitz to help you promote your lead magnet, I'm also doing that at JillFit, right? I'm like, okay, cool. I'm in promotion mode. This is the exact script or the exact recipe that I'm going to use as well because it works. If the efficacy is there because it is a business fundamental, then I'm going to use it as well. So it's not like FBA is just for beginners and then like, oh, as soon as you become an intermediate, you forget all that stuff. No, it's all nuts and bolts. And then the last maybe 10% of FBA is bells and whistles. Bells and whistles might be like, if you want to run beta testing, right? Not everyone has to beta test their offer. Not everyone has to do a challenge. Not everyone has to do a membership. Not everyone has to use paid traffic or ads. And yet we have all of those in FBA as well. So all of that to say, I want to talk through some of like what I'm calling the 5 biggest foundations of the nuts and bolts of business and the things that are not changing. And I want you guys to take some solace in this. Yes, not everything is changing all the time. It's not chaos online constantly. There are some principles that are timeless. And then also I want to get into the bells and whistles and the ways in which things are changing. So I kind of think about this like, I don't know, I kind of think about this like a hot fudge sundae, right? I don't know if you guys ever went to like a make your own sundae party when you were a kid. And there's always like the basics, right? There's like you need the ice cream, you probably have some sauce of some kind, and then you have some whipped cream. And then everyone has a little bit of a different topping. So there are certain things that if I'm making a sundae, it's going to have ice cream, it's going to have a sauce of some kind, it's going to have whipped cream, right? Everyone pretty much across the board uses those 3 things. But some people add some cherries, some people add some nuts, some people add some sprinkles, right? Different ways. And that's what I think about. Like the toppings on an ice cream sundae are the bells and whistles. They are not the foundational pieces of your business. They are things that if you want to use them, they are optional. And you can think about, okay, these are the ways in which the space is changing. How can I adapt these small pieces within my business? So I'll give you guys an example. One of the things that's of course changing is the attention span. That's very simple. Like, years ago, and we can talk about Substacks and podcasts and things like that. Even something like a podcast, even though it's technically long form content, it is still a passive medium, which means you're probably doing something else while you're listening to this right now. So it does go to multitasking. It does go to my attention span is if you had to sit down by yourself in a quiet room and close your eyes and listen to this, like that would be kind of silly, right? Because you're like, well, I could just make dinner. I could just clean the house. I could go for a walk. I could do my workout like while I'm listening to this. So even long form content like this, it does have some attention span implications. We can get into, of course, Substacks, which are making a little bit of a blog resurgence. It's not that people don't read articles anymore. It's not that people don't watch YouTube videos anymore. It's just that they're probably going to be reading threads or tweets. They're probably going to be watching shorts or reels or TikToks, shorter form content. So the principle is the same. The way that we're interacting is the same. It's a video. I'm going to watch it. It's a podcast. I'm going to listen to it. It's an article. I'm going to read it. That doesn't change, but the attention span changes. So for example, if you're creating a reel, oftentimes it's like, cool, let's hook them within the first 3 seconds. Because oftentimes people will not sit there and stare at a screen for 30 seconds or a minute to get to the meat and potatoes of what this video is about. So that's just an example of a bell and whistle. So that's just a small thing that's changing that requires, if we want to stay relevant, we want to stay current, we have to adjust to, right? All right, so let's get into the 5 biggest foundations. These things, y'all, do not change. These are, and I wish that there were some shortcuts to some of this stuff. But at the end of the day, you guys know, if we are building an online brand, if we're building an online coaching business, and you are the face of your business, we are in the trust business. We're in the trust building business, which means that we are building, number 1, community connection, and we're building trust with an audience. In order to build community, in order to build connection, in order to build trust with an audience, y'all, that doesn't take 5 minutes. That's going to take weeks, months, years, many touch points. If you want this to go faster, if you're trying like, I need to get to the point where people trust me so they'll buy something from me, more touch points, right? More stories, more posts, more emails, get on more platforms. There are things you can do to sort of hasten that process. But at the end of the day, you can't rush a genuine relationship. You can't rush a genuine connection. And your business is built on genuine connections. So that's always going to be a part, unless the only asterisk I will put here is if you're using paid traffic. You have a shitload of money and you're just putting money into ads. Great. You can have, I kind of think about this like almost like a Band-Aid business or kind of like a junk food diet business where it's like, it's literally like an ad to a sales page. Can you make money? Sure. But I think if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you want to have you want what we call a legacy business, where like it's a business that doesn't go out of business because it's built on relationships. It's built on trust that you have with individuals within an audience, and they trust you. And oftentimes when they trust you, not only do they buy one thing, but they buy many things, and they stay within your ecosystem for years. And that creates a level of anti-fragility or a level of safety for you as a business owner. If I'm doing an ad to a sales page, that's a very fragile sales model, right? That's a very fragile business model. It's like, I need these ads to work. I need this sales page to convert at this percentage, or else I'm not making money. But if I have relationships and people want to buy something from me, not because I have the fanciest sales page, but because they just trust me because we have a long-standing relationship and they've had great experience with me, then that is what creates long-term success online. So the foundation, of course, of building what we're building is community, connection, and trust. And this does happen in person too. You go down the street and, there's a bunch of coffee shops and restaurants right where I live. And I walk into this coffee shop and they like know me by name. Right. So it's like we built this relationship. They start getting my coffee ready before I even ask for it. They know what it is. They say, "Hey, Jill, is you a regular?" I'm like, "Yes." Right. So even in person, I go there because they know me, right? Because we've built that relationship, because I know and I feel connected to that brand, right? The people who work there, whatever it is. So number one is community, connection, and building trust. The second foundation that does not go out of style is solving problems for people and niching down. You have got to niche down. I've been seeing some posts recently from people saying, like, I'm a personal brand. Why do I have to niche down? I'm multi-passionate, I'm multifaceted. And I don't disagree with that, except for, yes, share all that stuff. You guys know I've been on personal brand a lot lately, which means, yes, I do want you to share about your dog and where you live and where you're vacationing and who your family is and your friends and what you're up to and whatever. Yes, I want you to show all of that multi sort of faceted personality that you are. But you have to niche down because people need to know what problem you can help them solve. That is the thing that you're monetizing. You're not monetizing your personality. I wish someone was like, "Hey, Jill, I just like you as a person. Can I give you money?" It's like, no, right? No one's going to do that. What they're going to do is they're going to pay because they believe that I have a solution that can fix something that is going on for them, right? A frustration, a challenge, an unwanted experience of some kind. That's why they're giving me money. So it never goes off style. If you own a business, no matter what the business is, you are solving problems for people and you need to have a specific niche, meaning you need to know what is the thing I'm the absolute best at? What is the transformation I'm the absolute best at facilitating? And that's going to be the thing that you help people with. It doesn't mean that you can't help people with multiple things under the umbrella of your industry. So for example, maybe you are a fitness person and you can help people, get lean, but you can also help them build muscle. Great. Right? But the niche is body change. The niche is body change. And then you add on some more qualifiers for women over 40 who only have 20, 30 minutes a day to train, right? So you can add on more qualifiers to make it more niched, but you have got to pick a niche because that's how you're going to monetize. Now, if you just want to be online and be an influencer, cool. Yeah, you don't have to have an expertise, right? But if you are charging money for coaching or courses or something like that, people are buying your solutions. Number 3, foundation, is creating an offer people actually want and need. This is similar to number 2. You have to create an offer that solves a problem. So we call it at JillFit, we call it an irresistible offer. Is like, how are you putting together all the many pieces of this thing? It's not just a course. It's a course that's going to help them do what, right? There's a promise there. There's some kind of deliverables there. There's maybe some bonuses. Maybe we're sweetening the pot with some additional incentives for them to take action. Maybe they get some kind of discount or deal. Maybe we put a deadline on it. So there's a lot of different ways to create an offer that gets someone to say yes. And so at the end of the day, again, you're not going to sell something if you're not creating an offer and, more importantly, packaging the offer in a way that someone wants it. So this is really messaging. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you have an expertise. The only thing you need to learn, the business skill that you need to learn, is how to package your expertise so that someone wants to buy it, whether they want to buy one-on-one coaching, group coaching of some kind, a course of some kind. So number 3 is you have to solve problems for people and you have to create an offer that people actually want. Number 4 has to do with sales. When we sell, we have to create safety for people. And this is something that never goes out of style. This is a foundation. Good salespeople make the person feel seen, heard, recognized, and create a level of safety for that person to say yes. So when I say safety, I mean they lower the barrier to entry to make this an easy yes for them. So for example, one way to do this would be a very simple way or tactical way would be to have a no questions asked refund policy. So I just had a conversation with a gal last week, and she was, asking about the strategy lab. She was like, Jill, this sounds great. I came in from an ad and I don't really know you. Goes back to number one, right? Creating relationships. She goes, I found you like last week. She goes, everything you said resonates with me. Like, I think this is a hell yes for me, but I'm just a little bit nervous because I don't know you yet. And I just want to make sure that I'm investing my money wisely. And I said, totally get it. And one thing I said was, I totally understand, especially if we have a new relationship. But one thing we have at the strategy lab is there is a no questions asked refund period. So if you join it and within that first like week, you're just like, yeah, this isn't for me, no worries, I'll give your money back. That's a way to create a little bit of safety. The other way that we can create safety is through conviction and confidence. If you're on a sales call with someone, people are picking up on the energy. When I say energy, I don't mean like you're in someone's face and you're like trying to close the sale and you're like that kind of like sales bro. And I think that's actually off-putting, especially for a lot of maybe the women who listen to the show. Like, that's not the way I want to sell. But creating safety is giving people an out, listening to them, thinking about like, yeah, I get it. And honestly, I can show you literally, like for FBA, we have over 100 success stories and testimonials alone on our sales page. That creates safety. It's like, look, I know that you're worried it's not going to work for you, but look at all the other people just like you who aren't any smarter than you, don't have any more time than you, but they were able to say yes and they were able to get results. And so we create safety through testimonials, through no refund policies or money back guarantees, for example, and also just having the relationship creates safety. I really think it's important, and I teach this in FBA, when people show up to a sales call, there's an energetic to it. It's almost like when you have abundance, and this is maybe another episode we should do, but some people use abundance as a marketing strategy, and it really is effective. And it's not like a tactic, like you're making it up. But for example, if you see people saying like, look, just buy when you're ready. Like, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. In a way, it feels counterintuitive. Like, would that really work? But you guys know what I'm getting at. It creates this level of exclusivity. It creates more trust because I'm not pushing for your sale. I'm almost like, I could take it or leave it. There's something attractive and there's something irresistible about someone who does not need your money. It's almost like you want to give it to them more. It's almost like you want to give it to them sooner because you're like, this person is not that sleazy salesperson I was expecting. They actually don't even seem that interested in selling me. That's kind of attractive. Like, I would like to be in that energy too. Who doesn't want to be around an abundant energy? And so when we do that, we create safety. So that's one way to do it. Maybe I'll do a separate episode on that. But we have to create safety for people to say yes. And things like guilting someone into a sale, coercing someone into a sale, being like cold DMs, like all these kind of things that you guys see, you guys know it's an icky feeling. And if you don't like it being done to you, then don't do it to other people. And so Shantae always says, how they reach you is what they'll teach you. So if you're thinking about investing with someone, look at how they're selling you. And go like, could I see myself selling in this way? Or does it feel inauthentic? Does it feel sleazy? Does it feel a little bit in your face? I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. That's not my style. Cool. Find someone who does match your style. Number 5, last one of the foundations, is, of course, being a good coach and delivering a great product. At the end of the day, that is your reputation. So, one of the most important things at Jill Fit is, yes, we do marketing and sales and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I really care about people getting a result. Shantae always teases me because I will literally just rewrite someone's entire sales page because I care so much. And we could talk about boundaries, maybe how I'm like overstepping boundaries by doing some of those things. But I take my clients' results very seriously. I don't take them personally, but I do take them very seriously because that literally is my reputation. And especially as you scale your business, you're going to be having many more and more touch points with people. And it's important. And now you can't save everybody. And sometimes you'll be a villain in someone's story every once in a while. But at the end of the day, being a good coach and delivering a great product, all you can do is manage your side of the street. So we try and put in place as many things we possibly can to make people feel seen, heard, listened to, and give them the insights, strategy, and tools that they need to be successful. So at the end of the day, you guys know this happens after the buy button, but it will never go out of style because if you are not delivering a great product, people will find out. And I know if you're listening to the show, you're probably nervous about that already. So I'm sure you will not do that because you're already nervous about it. So those are some of the foundations. Those things never go out of style, y'all. So I want you to remember, like, if you're in a course that's like teaching you how to do these things, it's not that it's old or outdated. It's just basics. It's the foundations and you can't skip steps. I wish you could, but you have to go through step number 1 to get to step number 2. And building trust takes time. Now let's get into the bells and whistles. So here are some of the things that have changed in the last few years, and some of the things we're going to be talking about in the Post to Profits free 8-day intensive. So if you have not joined yet, go to the link in the show notes. It is 100% free. We start February 5th. But these are some of the things that we're going to be talking about because the space is changing for these specific things. Now, the platforms, of course, are changing. The platforms where connection is happening. A couple of years ago, 5 years ago, we didn't really have TikTok. Now that's getting bigger. Substack is new. Threads is new. So there's always going to be new sort of platforms. And there's always going to be platforms that retire. I'm thinking about something like a MySpace or, whatever. Like some of these things will go. Vine, right? These have gone away over time. And so the platforms, I always say that the most important thing when it comes to new platforms is just go on, get an account, get your handle. So I always go onto a new platform and I get JillFit because I'm just going to go get it. I don't know if this platform's going to take off, but I'm going to go ahead and get it. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, no worries, right? At least I kind of covered my bases. So the platforms, of course, where the connection is happening is changing. Threads, as an example, obviously just came out a couple of years ago, and it's kind of like early days Twitter. It reminds me of early days Twitter. Like now, if you go on Twitter, there's just a lot of there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of links, which I don't always love in my feed. And I really love that Threads feels like more of a discussion. Now we can talk. I'm sure they'll ruin that at some point. But right now it's feeling really fun to be a consumer on there. I'm not utilizing it so much for business. But for me at this point, it does kind of give me a lot of ideas. It helps me with idea generation. It does help me make some lateral connections for my content that I'm really enjoying. So platforms will change and you can feel out which ones there's momentum. I know a lot of my colleagues are doing Substacks, are going all in on Substacks. Awesome. And so the platforms are changing and we just have to stay aware of that. Number two, we're still niching down, but now your niching needs to be more specific. So 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could kind of get away from being like kind of a jack of all trades. Of course, that's how JillFit started. I would do fitness, I would do nutrition, and I would also do mindset. So my very first website was like fitness, nutrition, and mindset. And, I don't really do mindset anymore. I mean, listen to the show, we do like sort of business mindset. But I think it's really important that now, especially if you're coming into this space, you can be someone who is good at a lot of things, but because the visibility issues and people aren't seeing quite as much of your content, if you are all over the place, it's going to be hard to have a really cohesive brand. I'll give you guys an example. Meme accounts are an example of this. So I follow this, I'm an Enneagram 8, if you guys know what the Enneagram is. I'm an Enneagram 8 and I follow this like meme account for Enneagram 8s. And they're always just memes and funny like little videos and photos about Enneagram 8. And I think they're so hilarious. But every once in a while, like every couple months, whoever is the creator of this account, whoever like is the person on the back end of this account, like kind of comes in and does like Q&As and stuff. And I'm kind of like, no, like I don't know you. Like, I'm not here for you. I'm here for the memes. Like, let's keep the main thing the main thing. And so people are now more following. Now it's an example of a meme account. I'm sure you guys have had that experience where like meme accounts try and sell merch and you're like, wait, what? Like, I'm here for the funny. I'm here for the laughs. Not I want to buy a mug that has middle class fancy on it or whatever. And so all of that to say that people are coming to you for a specific issue. And over time, so that woman I just gave you that example wants to join Strategy Lab, doesn't really know me as a person, came on a workshop, kind of saw my energy, connected with the content and bought it. Now we'll start building the relationship. She's enrolled and now we'll start building the relationship from here. And she'll kind of find out that, I have a dog and I'm a meathead and all these other kind of things around it. But oftentimes people are not finding you because they're just like, she's a cool chick. They're coming in because of a piece of content that connected with something they were looking for, whether it's a meme, whether it's some kind of solution, whether it's some kind of strategy or something that's going to help them. That's how people are finding you. And then they're staying if they like the vibe, right? They're staying if they want to know more about you and your personality and they care about your sort of like, family life and narratives and story and whatever. But they're coming to you initially for them. What's in it for them? So the question to ask yourself is, while I can help a lot of people with a lot of different things, what am I the absolute best at doing? What am I absolute best at helping people with? What transformation am I the absolute best at facilitating? And, the reason we sort of recently retired our fitness and nutrition programs at JillFit was because I kind of had this moment over the last couple of years where I was like, this isn't really the thing I'm the best at within the space. Like I would say I'm probably like, and this is like kind of a humble brag, but I definitely am like the top, I'm like a top fitness business person. Um, Within our space. I've been doing it a long time. I have a lot of content out there, helped a lot of people. Now, I'm sure there are experts out there who do different things than I do that are qualified. But when it comes to fitness and nutrition, like as much as I love it and as much as I've had products and programs that have helped thousands of people, I'm kind of on the outside looking in. I'm not reading about biochemistry. I'm not going to conferences around exercise physiology. I'm not reading research on nutrition and even stuff like perimenopause and hormones. Like I'm not like I'm interested in it, but I'm not interested in learning it enough to then be an expert in it. And so when I really look at where I'm investing my time, energy, and money, it's always into business stuff, right? Business courses, business masterminds, business mentorships, business books, business podcasts, right? If I'm spending money, I'm going to a business conference, not a fitness conference. So it made sense for us to drop that part of the business. Yes, could I get maybe a couple steps of the way there? Sure, with that. But really, for me, it really is the thing that I'm the best at, and I'm going to go all in on it. So, really looking at what is your expertise? What are you the absolute best at solving? What problem can you solve for somebody and go all in on that? Next thing that is kind of different, of course, is attention spans. Attention spans, where people are hanging out, things like that. And so, like I said before, I mentioned this earlier, where sure, long form content has its place, and people are still reading articles, listening to podcasts, and watching longer YouTube videos or vlogs. But we are now seeing way more short form, way more like threads, tweets, TikToks, obviously, reels, shorts on YouTube, right? We're just seeing a lot. So the attention span is there. And that's definitely changed for sure. There's more content on the internet today than there was yesterday, right? This is only getting more. There's like more information than ever. So this is also something to think about is, if you are just someone who's putting out information, this is where people are now, okay, the information is there, but who's the person behind the information? Or do I feel a connection? Because I can teach business content and someone else can teach the exact same business content, and you're listening to this and you would resonate with me or the other person based on how we presented it. And so information is not transformation. Information is commodity, especially now with ChatGPT. Like I just saw this thing the other day. It was like I follow this account this guy is like an exercise phys guy. And as I was just saying, I don't really consume that much anymore. And he always puts out the latest research. And he's like, study just came out that shows that ChatGPT answers fitness and nutrition questions better than coaches. And I was like, no shit, right? It's like answering questions. If only answering questions was coaching. It's not. So don't make the mistake of thinking that ChatGPT is going to take your job. ChatGPT can answer questions, but you are a coach. You have a relationship with this person. You're responsible for transformation. ChatGPT is not messaging you out of the blue saying, how was your week this week? No, you have to go to it. It doesn't come to you. So yes, all of these software and the delivery methods and things like that are changing. But again, back to the foundations, the relationship piece. ChatGPT ain't going to take your coaching job. It can answer questions about fitness, nutrition. Sure, it has way more knowledge than the average personal trainer, 100%, because it's literally pulling from everything on the internet that's ever been said. But what it can't do is it can't replicate the relationship. It can't connect over stories. It can't tell your story of transformation. It can't empathize, right? As much as it tries to, we know that shit's a robot. So attention spans, of course, are changing. Delivery method of programs are changing. So this is one thing that is changing quite a bit. And I do want to talk about this for a second. I saw this thread the other day that was like, courses are dead, or someone's like, courses are dead. And y'all, courses are not dead. But this is a really important distinction. I will tell you what is not doing so hot. What is not doing so hot are really big courses that are like really robust and take like months and months and months to do. So these massive courses where it's just shitload of videos, where it's taking literally like 6, 9, 12 months to consume all the content, these are a harder sell. Typically, these things are higher ticket and people want the result yesterday. So what I would recommend instead is what's called micro courses. So I think I shared this example with you guys, but a few months ago, I bought a mini course. I bought a course and I loved it because I literally finished it in a day. I went on 2 hour-long walks, and I finished the entire thing. And I think that people are looking for solutions, and they're looking for niche solutions that they want the answer faster. So if you can say something like, hey, you can consume this in a weekend and start on this content by Monday, like that's a really nice hook. This is probably gonna be a little bit lower ticket. This is gonna be more of a micro niche or micro topic. So for example, 10 years ago, I had a course called Best of You. Okay, Best of You. And number one, that's like the worst name, but it's also very general. But there weren't a lot of people doing what I was doing. And it was massive. The thing was a year long, and it was fitness and nutrition, mindset, and business. So it was kind of like a mentorship. The problem, and it was fine at the time, and it did really well, and it was a multiple six-figure offer. But I mean, multiple six-figure in terms of what it generated for us. But it was so big and it was so hard. Now it would be so hard to message. It would be like, spend an entire year with me and learn all of this shit, right? It's like, it's too much. And it's so hard to message as a marketer. If you're trying to sell this thing, it's too big, it's too robust, it takes too long to get the result. So it's not that I want you to take like large problems and try and fix them in a weekend. Like I'm not saying like give someone, an off the shelf meal plan and have them like starve themselves to lose weight. I'm saying that solve a micro problem, but let them consume the content much faster. So if they can consume it in a weekend, if they can consume it in a week, if they can consume it in 4 weeks, and they can start implementing right away and solve their problem sooner. This also goes to the next point, which is evergreen offers. You guys have heard me talk about this. We talked about the ins and outs of 2026. This is one I think is really important and what I'm focusing on in the strategy lab, which is yes, live launching will always do well. Live launching will always be the thing that probably gets the most sales within the shortest amount of time, right? Your cart is open for 4 days, 7 days, 11 days, whatever it is. You're going to make more sales in that time than you would if something was just open all the time and there's no deadline. But again, people want the solution when they want it. So it's going to be harder to convince someone to sit on a wait list for 6 months to then get this thing. It's not, I don't want you guys getting in scarcity to be like, oh my God, if it's not me, they're going to go somewhere else. No, you have the relationship. But the problem is they want it sooner. So I do believe that having evergreen offers that you are driving traffic to consistently. Now you can drive traffic organically. You can drive traffic through paid offers. You can drive traffic through affiliates. If you have evergreen offers, meaning people can buy it and consume it right away, I think that this is going to help you make money between your launches. So this is why at JillFit, we have set up an evergreen sales funnel for the strategy lab. It's one of our big things for this year. And I do think that it answers a lot of questions of people not wanting to sit on a wait list for months and months and months. All right. Last two things that are changing is how you deliver your services. So this would be like a software issue, very small, but software is constantly changing, right? Now, 10 years ago, you didn't have an app for your workout program. It was like, here's a PDF of workouts. Here's a course platform that has some pictures on it. Here's some YouTube videos that have, form cues. Now, all of a sudden, of course, you have the Trainerize, there's a million of them. I'm using Bridge app for my High Rocks training. There's just so many different ones. So obviously software is changing, apps, course platforms, things go in and out. So all different way, like email autoresponders, right? All these kind of things. Some are more relevant, some kind of go away, some maintain relevancy. Then we see new ones pop up all the time. So really it's just how you're delivering your service. The service is the same. I'm still delivering a quality product. I'm maybe changing up the way I'm delivering the course. Maybe I'm not delivering it over 6 months or 12 months now. I'm delivering it over the course of 4 weeks or 6 weeks. And by the way, you guys, if you make your offer shorter, so maybe you're thinking this, Jill, I have a 12-week course. That too long? It's not that it's too long. If you decided to make it shorter, let's say you want to make it 6 weeks, you maybe just would have to change the promise. So if it was 12 weeks and the promise was, I'm going to hold your hand and hold you accountable as you implement over the course of 12 weeks, that might need to change. If instead it's going to be 6 weeks, maybe it's not the exact same outcome. Maybe you're not promising the same amount of weight loss or body change or, whatever the transformation is. So if you say, hey, over the course of 12 weeks, I'm going to help you lift 5 to 10 pounds, maybe you can't promise the same thing in 6 weeks. Also, the promise could just be over the course of 6 weeks, I'm going to teach you how to X, Y, and Z. And then the integration will happen after the 6 weeks is over. So you're not actually marketing it as accountability. You're marketing it as a teaching course, right? I'm going to teach you over 6 weeks how to do it, and then you will do it on your own. So that was, we do have a 4-week food obsession boot camp. It's kind of like our mini course for Moderation 365, and it's 4 weeks. And if you've ever changed your relationship with food, or you've learned mindfulness around food or things like that, or like, quieted food noise and understood moderation, mindfulness, things like that takes a while. It took me actually 3 full years to go from someone who was obsessively all or nothing dieting to someone who could eat the same on Saturday and Monday. But the 4 weeks, the promise is going to teach you the tools in those 4 weeks. And then guess what? You're going to practice, because the practice, you're going to practice on your own after the 4 weeks is over. So you might just have to change. If you make it shorter, just change the promise. Good. Last thing, of course, is AI. AI is here to stay, as you guys know. But the cool thing is this: if everyone is using it, how will you stand out? Everyone is using it. It's the bar. It's not the opportunity anymore. It is the bar. And this goes to one of the foundations, which is human to human connection. I was talking to someone today, who I saw outside on my walk, and she was saying she has some kids that are like Gen Alpha, Gen Z. And she was like, she's like, they hate ChatGPT. Some of them, she's like, some of them do, but like they'll use it. She goes, but they don't want to use it because they feel like it's cheating, and they kind of just like think it's, kind of whatever, because they kind of grew up with it, right? It's different for us. And so I do believe there's still a massive market for human to human connection, because AI provides information. And the cool thing about AI is, of course, it can organize information, right? So it can come up with frameworks and systems and things like that, but it can't tell your story. It can't tell your story of transformation. It can't be vulnerable like you can. It can't have the empathy, the level of, visibility, vulnerability that you could have from telling your own stories, your micro stories, your metaphors, your analogies. So I think that there's still massive opportunity, but it goes, okay, how can we then use AI in a way that helps us maybe get things done faster? Maybe it can take a couple of shortcuts when it comes to organizing information or getting things done quicker. But at the end of the day, the heartbeat of your relationship of your business is still going to be relationships with others. And it's still going to be because you're sharing from a genuine, honest place. Good. All right. So all of that to say, I would love to see you in Post to Profits, a 100% free 8-day business incentive, full-on business education you guys are going to get from me. Go to the link in the show notes. We are going to expand on some of this stuff, teach you some of the foundations, of course, the nuts and bolts, and then we'll get into some of the bells and whistles, because both matter. Both matter. And I know sometimes our eyes gloss over when we talk about like solving problems and niching down and creating an offer and like some of these more business fundamentals. But at the end of the day, like that's the business. And I kind of think about it like, again, it's a Sunday. I can't have an ice cream sundae without the ice cream, right? So I got to niche down. I can't have an ice cream sundae without building relationships with people. Like that is the foundation. And then of course we can change up the toppings and things, and those kind of things will change. So we'll talk about both. Good. All right, a little bit long today. Thanks so much for your time and attention, y'all. And I will see you in Post to Profits, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye, y'all.